Hello, hello, American Crochet Association. Selena Baca here, founder, host, lead educator with the ACA. And it's Tuesday, so I've got a brand new tip for you guys. But not only is it Tuesday with a new tip, this is October 2020, and the American Crochet Association is celebrating its 5th anniversary. That's right, we've been here in the crochet world for 5 years strong. And to help celebrate that milestone, I am doing these live little lessons for you guys. So if you are watching live, come on over, say hey, say hello, tell me where you're viewing from. If you're part of the American Crochet Association, let me know in the comments. I'll give you an extra special shout out. If you guys have any questions, comments, feedback about the lesson today or the American Crochet Association, this live video is a great place for you to make it a conversation, all right? I'm really excited about the lesson today because there are tons of misconceptions about some crochet stitches, specifically the bobble, the cluster, the popcorn, and the puff. A lot of us, myself included, feel like they're all kind of the same thing, or they're just different names that represent the same thing, when in fact, that's not true. Each one of these 4 things, bobble, cluster, popcorn, and puff, they're all totally different because of the execution. So here today, I want to break down those stitches so that you can understand the difference. You can get a definition for each one of them. And we also have some stitch tutorials for you guys, some free video stitch tutorials, so that you guys can try these after you're done. Who likes video tutorials? Anybody? You guys don't like them, right? Maybe you do. I'm just kidding. If you guys like video tutorials, let me know in the comments because I'd love to see. All right, guys, before we get started, I see just a few of you guys are here and saying hello. So let me give some extra special shout outs to Chris Lopez. As always, it's so good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. DePolly, hello, DePolly. I was just thinking about you. I hope you're doing well. I hope your family's doing well. It's always so good to see you here. Angel is here. Hello, Angel. Good to see you. Francis is here. Hello, Francis. I love your profile picture with all of that crochet. And of course, your kitty there too. I love cats and crochet. Hello. She says, hi, Selena. Thank God. I need to calm down. LOL. Fran from New Jersey. Well, hopefully this lesson today will give you some peace and joy and warm hugs on the inside and all of that. To Polly, of course, I love video tutorials. Okay, good. You came to the right place. And Margaret is here. She says, yay, I'm happy. I'm still awake today. Hello, hello. That's right, because you're checking in from Europe, somewhere in Europe, if I remember correctly. All right, last shout out is for now, before the lesson, is going to Krista. She says, first live I have caught. Hello, everyone. Hi, Krista. Thank you for being here. All right, guys, again, it is our 5th anniversary month, and we are celebrating with this live lesson today. I'm going to go through bobble, cluster, popcorn, and puff. So come on over and make some noise if you guys are watching live. Questions, comments, feedback, put them all there. And as soon as this lesson is over, I will go through and answer all of them. The information that I'm giving you guys today is part of our crochet learning path. The crochet learning path was developed by the American Crochet Association to help you build your crochet knowledge and skill. It is a 12-course path that makes you feel kind of like you're going through high school, but for crochet. It's a very specific path of knowledge for crocheters. And the lesson that we are bringing you guys today is part of our, basic stitch course. So there's lots of different stitches that it covers, lots of different variations and textures with definitions and video tutorials for each. So the lesson today is about bobble, cluster, popcorn, and puff. So we do have a blog post that outlines all of the talking points that I have for you guys today. But again, it is just a snippet for that basic stitches course. So if you guys dig it, you may want to go check it out. All right, okay? All right, okay? Okay, the first thing I want to show you before I show you the definitions for each one of these 4 stitches, what I want to show you is this really handy cheat sheet. You guys, if you're part of the learning path, you have this in your course material, but we do have a blog post that also gives you this. So you can find the link for this in the video description after this video, all right? So this is really kind of where these 4 stitches are going to be demystified for you guys, okay? So as we can see here, each one of these stitches, there's a few different characteristics for each, okay? Of course, we have the name, we have an image, but here are some of these defining factors. What stitch you can try this with, because you can't try all of these stitch variations with every single stitch, as we see here. Next things to consider are whether or not these are joined at the top. They are all joined at the top, so that's another kind of, just thing to consider, that each one of these stitch variations typically represents 1 stitch, or it has a count of 1. Are these joined at the base? Not all of them are. As a matter of fact, the cluster is the thing that typically trips people up, okay? So let's start at the top and work our way down, okay? The bobble crochet stitch. This is one that it is joined at the base and at the top, but you really can only try this one with double and triple crochet. So you need those nice long stitches. Cluster stitch is effectively a decrease. I'll give you guys another definition for this in just a second, okay? These are not joined at the base, and that's why it's called a cluster or a decrease, or that's why a cluster is typically also referenced as a decreasing stitch, because you're taking the base of stitches and you're joining all of those stitches at the top. You can try the cluster stitch with any stitch, so single, half double, double, or triple. It will work for all of those. Now, when I say it's a decreasing stitch, typically you can decrease with this stitch. As we can see there, the representation shows a base of 3 stitches being used with only 1 top. But if you don't want that to decrease, of course, it depends on your pattern. If you're not trying to decrease, then you'll just chain after that however many stitches you need to make up based on what you have decreased. And that way it represents the same stitch count and it's not going to be decreasing. The popcorn stitch, super fun. Again, you want to try this with a really tall stitch like a double crochet or a triple crochet. Now, this is joined at the base, but it's also joined at the top. I'll give you the definition for that in just a minute, but we see with the popcorn here that it's giving us that protruding texture, so it's really kind of sticking out there. And the last one is the puff stitch. And as you guys will see in just a minute, you can really only work the puff stitch with the half double crochet, which a lot of people are like, I work it with any stitch. Well, I will show you why it only works with half double crochet stitch in just a minute. These are joined, the puff stitch is joined at the base and at the top. Again, that represents 1 stitch, okay? So let's look at the definition for each one of these, and that way this graph, this chart, this cheat sheet will kind of make a little bit more sense, okay? We're gonna start again at the top and work our way down. Of course, we're gonna start with the bobble stitch, okay? Here's just kind of a bigger representation. We can see this stitch by itself, but then also a few of them work. So a bobble is a group of several incomplete long stitches, okay? So double or triple, those are gonna work best for this, that are joined into the same base at the top, okay? So to work this, these bobbles are formed by working multiple stitches into the same base. So multiple can mean any number, right? It can mean 2, 3, 4, 5. So really there is no one specific way to work a bobble. Your pattern should always tell you if you're working a 2-stitch bobble, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitch bobble. How many incomplete stitches are you fitting into that one base? So what you're going to do as you're working your stitch is you're going to not complete it. So if you're working a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the indicated stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. You're still going to have 2 loops on your hook. That means it's incomplete. You didn't finish that last step. So same thing for the triple crochet. If you're working the triple crochet, you're going to do everything but finish it. Everything but that last step, okay? And then whenever you have the desired amount of stitches into that one base, your final yarn over is going to complete all of those stitches together. So again, you're not going to complete that last step for that stitch because as soon as you have the desired number of stitches into that base, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many, that's when you're going to yarn over and complete all of those stitches together. Make sense? Let me know what you guys think. Next is the cluster. Now, the cluster is a group of several incomplete, again, we're working incomplete stitches that have a separate base but are joined together at the top. So it's a little bit like the bobble, except the bobble is all in the same base and the cluster is not in the same base. They each have different bases. Clusters are formed by working multiple stitches from separate bases together as each stitch is worked. So what you do here again is let's pretend like we're doing a double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into one stitch, yarn over, pull through that one stitch, yarn over, pull through two stitches, you still have two loops on your hook. Now we're going to go into the next stitch, right? Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch. So you're going to do that however many times. There is no one definition for cluster outside of this, because you can complete a cluster with over 2 stitches, over 3 stitches, over 4 stitches, over 5 stitches. You can complete even multiple kinds of clusters. Maybe you have right here we're using 3 adjacent stitches. A cluster could also be stitch, skip 1, stitch, skip 1, stitch, skip 1. So you can still add in variations to a cluster. So there is no one, so when I say there's no one definition for this, a pattern isn't typically just going to say cluster, because you may go, well, am I going to do a single crochet 3 together, single crochet 2 together? Am I going to do half double crochet 2, 3, 4 together? Am I going to do a double crochet? So whenever you're saying cluster, whomever is writing the pattern has to identify what stitch to use and over how many stitches. And if there's any additional variations, maybe there's space gaps in between them. So a cluster by definition is multiple stitch bottoms. They're all decreasing to the top, and you can use any stitch that you want to use. Again, single crochet, half double crochet, triple crochet. You can use any of those. Got it? Get it? Got it good? Let me know if you guys have any questions so far. All right, popcorn is next. And popcorn is defined as a group of several complete long stitches, okay? So up until this point, we've been dealing with incomplete stitches because they all share the same top, right? Well, we're not doing that here. Here, we're going to work lots of stitches. This is going to work best with double or triple. Can you do it with single or half double? Yeah, but it's not really going to give you the same effect. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. But whenever you're seeing this stitch, you're typically going to see it with double or triple because it's going to give you that nice long texture that we're looking for, that nice long stitch, okay? So what you're doing here is you're working all of these stitches into one space. Here again, there is no one definition for a popcorn because you have to tell me what stitch I'm using. Do you want me to use a double crochet, a triple crochet? Maybe it's a single or half double, maybe. But also you need to tell me how many stitches am I working. A popcorn can be worked with 5 stitches, 6 stitches, 7 stitches, 4 stitches. How many stitches do you want me to put into one space, okay? So after you place all of the stitches that you need, maybe it's 5 double crochet, maybe it's 6 triple crochet into one space, this is where it gets a little tricky. After your last stitch is complete, you're going to remove your crochet hook from your loop, and then you're going to go back into the front and back loops of the top of the very first stitch that you created in that popcorn sequence. Insert your hook, pull the loop through that very first stitch. And that way what it does is, because let's say you have, 10 fingers, let's say you have 10 double crochet stitches all into one base. Right now they're all fanned out. I don't want them to fan out. I want them to be folded. So you're going to take the loop here, but you're removing your hook. You're going to put your hook into the very first stitch here, and you're going to pull the loop. And what that does is it folds all those stitches together. And that way you still just have one loop and you can continue your work from there, but all of those stitches are folded together. So let me know what you guys think about the popcorn stitch, all right? All right, last one we're going to go over today is the puff. And the puff is defined as a group of several incomplete half double stitches. And they're all worked into the same base and they're joined together at the top. Now, puff stitches are typically worked in groups of 3 or more incomplete stitches so that each bundle looks like wraps of yarn. Again, with this puff stitch, or again, with the puff stitch here, you really can only complete a puff stitch with the half double crochet, okay? The reason you can only complete a puff stitch with the half double crochet is that if you use another stitch, it's going to look more like a bobble, okay? So when you're doing this here with the half double crochet, or when you're doing this here, when you're going through the motions, you're really going to see, oh, I can only complete with this with the half double crochet. So that's an interesting difference about the puff stitch. Now, again here, whatever the pattern writer is, they have to give you information about what kind of puff to create. Now, typically you are going to see the puff stitch just with 3 of those incomplete stitches together, but it might be 2, it might be 4. So there could be, you know, how many incomplete, variations am I going to put within this stitch? So again, is there one definition for any one of these? No, there's not, because as we learned here with the bobble, cluster, popcorn, and puff, there are multiple stitches you can use with each one of these, except for the puff. That's just half double crochet. So a popcorn, if you ever see that in a pattern, you may want to know, am I using a double or triple? And also, how many stitches am I going to place into that space? If it's a cluster, you need to know, what stitch am I using? Single, half double, double, or triple? And over how many stitches am I working this cluster stitch over? And for the bobble, of course, it's how many incomplete stitches am I working into one space? And of course, it works best with the double or the triple crochet. So that is the lesson today. Hopefully this demystifies these particular stitches. Hopefully it gives you enough information. That way you understand what if you ever see any of these terms in the crochet world, you have enough information to ask more questions if it's not provided, and you have enough information to know that these are different things. Guys, I do have a blog post that gives you some of this information that I have linked in the video description, and that way, at the very least, you guys can snag this handy cheat sheet, and you also get the definitions of each one of these stitches. But again, it's not a definition, it's not a universal definition, because there are variations in each one of those things based on the stitch and the number of stitches within each one. Those two things are going to be provided by the pattern writer to let you know what kind of bobble, what kind of cluster, what kind of popcorn, right? If you guys are part of the learning path, again, at the American Crochet Association, this lesson is just a tiny little speck that you get in our basic stitch course with the American Crochet Association. So you're going to learn about these and a ton more stuff. And guys, as I promised, I do have a tutorial on most of the stitches that we covered today. So I do have a video tutorial that shows you a kind of bobble, a kind of puff, but we don't have one for the popcorn and the cluster. That's something that we're working on, but we don't have for you guys yet. But if you do want to see the puff in action or the bobble, we've got you covered on our YouTube channel, okay? If you guys try any of these stitches, especially from our YouTube channel, which is free to watch, that does have a few of those, come on over to our group on Facebook. I've got the link in the video description. You can find us by typing in group:American Crochet Association. We would love to see the stitches that you worked up. And that's also a great place you guys can ask any questions you guys may have, all right? Okay, let's see who's here, what you guys are saying, and I will answer any questions that come in. DePolly! Again, she says, all good. Uncle is back home from the hospital this weekend. Thank you so much for asking. I'm so glad your uncle's doing better. I was thinking about you and worried about your family, and so I'm glad that he's safe and home again. That's good to hear. Margaret, she is checking in from England, and she says the time is 21:38. I'm a little off on my military timing. Well, I call it military timing because my husband was in the military for so long, but that 21:38, is that 9 or is that 10? I forget. Anyway, it's late where you are. I'd have to re-engineer that math somehow. Frances, she says, it's funny. These stitches were... It's funny, these stitches was a big... Rephrase that. Sometimes I type faster, my fingers move faster than my brain works. Reiterate that, because I think that you have something important to share. Francis says, just shared. Oh, thank you so much, Francis. I really appreciate that. If you guys enjoyed this video and you think there's some good lessons in here, please click that share button or tag a crochet friend in the comments. I would really, really appreciate it. And Francis is here, late but here. Thank you so much for checking in. Of course, the replay is always available for anyone. Connie is here. She says, hi, Selena, coming back in after having regular old virus. 2 weeks. Join the instructors course today. Yes, you did. Thank you so much for joining that crochet instructor training program with the American Crochet Association. I hope you really love it. Margaret loves puff stitches. DePolly working on the Sparkle Soft Cowl with the Bobble Stitch. Fantastic. Francis is saying hello to her friend DePolly, of course. DePolly, while I like them all, do you have a tip to make them look uniform? Mine don't look neat. Yeah, so with these textured stitches, I will say that they do take practice, okay? So if you're working any one of these stitches for the first time, typically the first few times I work them, I'm still paying attention to what stitch I'm using and how many stitches I have to put into one spot or over a few different spaces, right? So typically the first few that I make can look a little wobbly, they look a little big, or they look a little tight. So just the more you practice these, the more they're going to be a little more comfortable for you, that you're going to speed up a little bit, and they're going to look a little bit more uniform. So just take time to practice that. Also, I will say that some yarns are a little more difficult to work these than others. For example, if you have a yarn that is way too stretchy, it has a lot of stretch in it. Let's say you're just holding a yarn in your hands. Here's a yarn. Let's say you're holding a yarn in your hands. If the yarn has any give, this yarn has no give, then you might crochet a little too tight. If you crochet a little too tight or a little too loose with a really stretchy yarn, you're really going to see a lot of bounce in it that may not look uniform. Alternatively, yarns that don't have any stretch like this, or like cotton, yarns that just don't have any give whatsoever, again, you might see way too much yarn or not enough yarn in your stitch fabric, and that might give you, it might not give you the most desirable look. So definitely think about your tension, think about the yarn that you're using, but just remember, practice is going to help your stitches look a little bit more uniform. Let's see who else is here. I love that you guys are all friends and just saying hello to each other and thanking each other and just being so kind to one another. It's really refreshing to see. Margaret, I haven't tried popcorn stitches. I'm going to try that. Yeah, popcorn stitches are a lot of fun. I've used that very sparingly. But I find that it really gives you a lot of texture. It's this really, it really is this kind of thing that sticks out in your work that's really nice to have. Hello, Loretta. So good to see your face here. Thank you so much for checking in. Frances, she's talking to Sandy. She says, Sandy, I knew I was right with it not being a popcorn. It was a bobble. Yes, so that actually happens a lot. You might see a pattern that says bobble, but it gives you instructions for a cluster or a popcorn. So sometimes in the crochet world, people can be misinformed and they give you a term, but then they give you instructions that are not at all the term. So if there are instructions, just follow those, even if the term is incorrect. And hopefully just sharing this information will help people to understand that each one of these terms create a very specific, or define a very specific set of instructions. So hopefully we can get some uniformity behind that. Let's see. Francis, I love popcorn stitches I used for a prayer cloths and making words on a wedding blanket. Yeah, that would be a fantastic use for it. DePolly, I made a wall decor with popcorn stitches. I like the stitch, but it's a yarn eater. Oh, totally. Popcorn stitches are absolutely going to be a yarn eater because effectively you're putting 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches into one space. So they're still only counting as one stitch, but you've used 7. So yeah, that's absolutely going to eat some yarn. DePolly, I think I did send you feedback while I was taking this course, popcorn video tutorial. Yeah, you're asking for a video tutorial on the popcorn. That's something that we're working on. So hopefully we will have one video showing all of these stitches together in one place. I would really, really love that. Francis, yes, my brain was working faster than I can type. These stitches was a topic in a pattern. Yes, you will see these stitches in patterns quite frequently. DePauli, you're welcome. Melody, hello everyone. Sorry I'm late. That's okay. The replay is always just as good. All right, everybody, that is the lesson today. I hope you enjoyed it. This wraps up our live lessons throughout this month of just celebrating our 5th anniversary. I'm so proud that the American Crochet Association is celebrating 5 years of helping crocheters to help themselves so that crochet can be passed through the generations in better hands than we found it. And the way we're helping to support that mission is with lessons like this. We just hope to offer some uniform crochet education so that, again, we can all better our crochet knowledge and skill together. So again, if you guys enjoyed this lesson, please tag a crochet friend or share this video in just one place where you enjoy crochet if you think that it will help better the lives of other crocheters within crochet communities. Again, guys, please click on the link in the video description because there is just a little blog post giving some definitions and a cheat sheet on this lesson today. And we do have 2 video tutorials that you guys can watch that will show you the bobble and the puff stitch. And if you guys work any of these stitches, or if you just want to share your work that represent any of these stitches, please come on over to our Facebook group. That's where we meet as a community, and we would absolutely love to see what you're working on, all right? Thank you guys so much for being here. Peace, love, crochet. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.